G'day everyone, Justin from Just Your Average Fishos. It's a beautiful autumn night, Friday the 30th of April. It's cold, we're starting to get into Melbourne winter, which means fishing slows down and boat ramps get very quiet. I'm down here just leaving the Patterson River complex. Smooth as anything, not a breath of wind. We're just coming off the full moon, which is up there. A couple of days past it now. And wow, what I thought is we'll get some content tonight to show you what different soundings mean at night and how I set up my Simrad EVO3. 16-inch, you'll see all the red on the screen there is the Halo 24 radar. Absolutely imperative you go out night fishing in my experience, especially on Port Phillip Bay in the snapper season and so forth. It's absolutely crazy. You'll see here that the light is quite dimmed. How you access that is by pressing the power button once. You can see there night mode, you can press for night mode, and then I turn my brightness down a fair bit, so it's quite low as you can see there, just a little bit below mid-range. So nice and easy. If you need to bring it up quickly for a second, you can just double press your power button or bring it down even more. Double press, brighter, double press will get me back to where I was. That's pretty good. I was a little bit darker, that's fine. So the aim is tonight to help you with some different sorts of soundings. I expect some lights to be out tonight, and we'll talk about what soundings look like. Fingers crossed we might be able to find a school of pinkies or even some snapper, which Port Phillip Bay does have a winter run. That's already been happening for the last week. Oh, as the train goes past. And yeah, let's see how we go. Get back to you later. For anyone that thinks that gain should be set and forget, I've done in many of my reports that offshore and even in the bay generally, I would run auto -1, auto -2 gain. And right now we're running auto -7 and we're picking up what would ordinarily look like a screen full of fish, which it's not. It's weed, it's lice, it's little other invertebrates and a whole lot of nastiness. Let's just amplify this to now auto -2. Look at what it becomes, and you would just say that that is the absolute biggest fish fest going on. If to the untrained eye, yeah, that's not fish at all. Okay, now in snapper season, if we saw that, you'd either have a lot of weed and it wouldn't be a very nice day at all, or if it was concentrated in an area on a dump, a piece of structure, something on the bottom, you know, yeah, you would say, okay, that's probably more likely to be fish, but not in this case. Okay, so just come up to a little bit of a different mark and still same old crap on the bottom. I thought I'd just talk about the bottom at the moment, which is the bottom that you're seeing here. The harder the return here and the thicker the colour, the harder the ground. And with very little sort of fuzzy stuff on top and just a consistent ripple through it, we have zero movement off the boat at the moment because it's just glass out. That's just flat mud bottom pretty much, you know, and that's just all the shit coming out to play from it, you know, weed and lice and all different sorts of stuff. And now you'd go, oh geez, lice, you know, why is it arching up and stuff like that? Yeah, I don't know, just what happens. See this faint line running through here? That's like a temperature inversion there. So that'll be, you know, your water temp will then probably get colder under that inversion there, I'd say. So that's what that can be. All right, let's go up to some reef. Okay, everyone, so this is reef. Very bumpy ground. A lot of fuzzy sort of stuff on the top, which will indicate weed, cungy, mossy sort of stuff. So be careful of my water depth here. And you'll notice also that we've been able to come right up in gain. I'm now auto -2. If I put that on just before, what would have happened was that we would have had an absolute concentration on the screen of just rubbish. And there's still rubbish on the screen. These aren't fish by any means, or maybe those couple are. So they're very defined arches, and even at a lower gain, see how there's a lot of colour and defined, you know, they're quite defined. So yeah, some nice reef. Very nice reef spots up here, North Port Phillip Bay. good areas for pinkies. Don't know about 5 metres, but you never know for snapper. You can get them in pretty shallow. So it's reef, so it's on auto depth. So you'll see here, very hard colour line, very bumpy. Some nice looking reef there. Let's see what else we can find. Okay, so here's a couple of little interesting things here. So we've got some really rough, broken reef ground, very, very shallow. And those 2 arches there are probably okay sized snapper, I'd say. You know, feeding on the bottom. You know, you can see here, we've got like this mossy sort of stuff running over the reef. So that is like the kanji and the, you know, the various types of weed and so forth. That's definitely not fish. But it's just concentration of all the weed over the very hard ground, the very solid ground, which is obviously reef. So not a bad spot here. Certainly some nice stuff there. What we got coming up here? So this is more likely to be a little pinky school here, coming off the back here. Very, very small, concentrated to an area, feeding on the bottom. We dropped a placky down to those. Probably have a little bit of success there. Yeah, doesn't look too bad, does it? Might mark that up. What else we got going on? Returning to all the shit. Alright, let's see what else we can find. Okay, so I've just nipped out to the gas pipeline, so I've never actually sounded over this to see what it looks like. So we returned to zero tide, shit conditions out here. We're now down to auto -7 and we're still picking up loads. A lot of people ask what this extension line is here. These are extension lines of the boat nose. The way that I navigate my map is always the way that the boat is pointing is the way that we're going. So obviously if we're heading south, the boat is pointing south, the bottom would be north. So that's how I orientate myself. I do have a pilot's license, and that's how you would orientate your map in an aircraft as you're flying. So you're facing where you're going on the map to where you're actually pointing. So I think that might be the burying of our gas pipeline there. Quite a reasonable lumpy thing there. So not really that defined. Nice little concave there though, so we might, just for the sake of an argument, there you go, everyone can have the mark. We will mark that. Okay. So just ignore all that other crap. So the gas pipeline up the top of Port Phillip Bay. Okay, out very wide near the shipping channel, 20 metres, not far off the shipping channel. Forget the mark name, that's completely not Davy Bay D. And yeah, it's a flat, hard, muddy, or sort of muddy bottom that is all lice and shit and whatever in the water, because we're now at slack tide, sorry. And I can't remember if there's anything on this mark, I don't think so, but I'm going to keep having a sound along for a while. During the day you wouldn't find all this stuff, and during tide at night where you get a decent tide, it's harder in Port Phillip Bay, more at the top end, you wouldn't find you'd be getting a hell of a lot of this, and fish you'd be able to mark down the bottom a lot easier. So yeah, there's nothing there. You have to back the gain right off, and just to show you, if we go back to that number, auto -2, all it's doing is concentrating everything that we're seeing. So yeah, so this is running split screen, so this is an EVO16, so running 2x8 effectively, and obviously speed over ground, depth, water temp, course to steer, you know, bearing to waypoint, so I can have a magnetic bearing to waypoint, distance to waypoint, and then just my regular time. I'll probably change the CRS to time to the waypoint. So yeah, get that. I'll just leave that going for the sake of it. I'm gonna head nosy on my way back to Carrum now and see what I can find for it.